these are issues that you had before you got hurt?
And actually, after I got hurt, they were 10 times worse.
Give me an example of the change in magnitude of some of your cognition issues.
I guess the best one is I was taking a course. It was called Ecosphere in Crisis, or as I like to call it, Idiot Biology. And
We call that environmental biology when I was in college.
all we did was talk about was the pill and a bunch of other stuff. And finding out that the professor and his wife were both fixed. But I had problems in that class, even though it was really simple. If I read the book, I was doing very well in it. I went on all the field trips, and then I had lecture, which was kind of hard for me because he would touch on the stuff we read and then expand it. And I was lucky to have a friend of mine in the class who was also in my individual class where we had the person talking to you. And he was real easy because he would understand what was going on. So if I gave him a weird look like, what's going on? What are they talking about? He could put it into basic terms and slow it down. Because my brain, most people talk in a normal pace, which can be too fast for me, and I don't understand what they're saying, or I can't get it all.
I always like to give the analogy of, and because I'm a lawyer, we know what court reporters do. And a court reporter is a person who has to take every word down in court. And they've got a special machine, and they get lots of special training. But even court reporters get behind, and the one thing that'll get a court reporter behind faster than anything else is two people talking at once. Mm-hmm. Because it's not just a matter of automatically writing it down, it's also sorting and analyzing and trying to sort out one from another. And when you talk over, obviously, there's more words in the same 5 or 10 second period. But if you were thinking of your lecture professor, were he to slow it down to 100 words per minute, and most of the time I'm talking a little over 100 words a minute in this interview. If he were to have slowed it down to 100, you would have probably gotten most of what he said.
Actually, if he would have slowed it down to about 75 to 65 words, I would have kept up with him. But if it wasn't for my friend in the lecture class and in the individual study class that we had, I think that's what it was called. If I didn't have him in there, I would have had one big of a problem.
What happens when he gets going too fast is you start to fall behind. Mm-hmm. And then you're trying to focus on the last part you're trying to remember, and suddenly he's a minute ahead of you in what he's saying.
That's correct. My friend would actually do something really good. He would give me the notes after the class, and I would copy them.
Did you get any sort of accommodation with respect to notes other than your friend?
Yes. For my general eds, not specifically for my major classes, for my major gear for my human service degree, but in the basic classes like English and all that, I had, for history, I know I had someone who would let me borrow their notes. For, like I said, Ecosphere in Crisis, I had somebody's notes I could borrow. A lot of my undergrad classes, I could borrow notes from somebody, or they had somebody who would take notes for me. And then the best thing, especially for my undergrad classes, since I was dyslexic, I could take the test downstairs in the office.